everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 18th of December 2023. Oh, it's Gary here again, and well, if Carlsberg did perfect weeks for our beloved football club, I think that's exactly what they would have served up for us this past week. I mean, there was potential for it to be a sensational week, of course, but I don't know that anybody would have thought for a second that it was going to work out absolutely in our favour on every single front that it could possibly work in for us. So, I have to start with a wee bit of an apology because I did say last week that it would likely be an 8-point gap at the top of the table. And I should have caveated that with the fact that maths was never really my strong suit at all. That's why I'm not an accountant, and I can't really count that well without a calculator or the calculator app on my phone, obviously, because all the games got played this past week, and I just checked earlier this morning, and it says 5 points, which is weird because you'll likely know that 5 points is 3 points less than 8 points, and that obviously means I'm just a bit of a silly Billy, I guess, then. And I just, 2 games in hand, it's back in our hands again, folks. And I know that it was before, but you're doing that thing early season. If we win all the games between now and the end of the season, we've got a chance of winning. But this is really literally back in our hands now after the result, the kind of somewhat surprise result in the East End, to just make them 5 points ahead. Now, if I was sitting where they're sitting, to be very, very clear, I'd be saying, relax everybody, we're still ahead. What's the panic? Don't have a cow, as I think Bart Simpson said way back in the day on The Simpsons. But there's something happening at Ibrox, isn't there? There's something happening in Govan, and Philippe Clement has won again at yet another club. The guy is a serial winner. There's something just different about this guy compared to the ones that immediately preceded him, and we're onto something special here. And they, once again, like they did in the 55 year, they are imploding. They are panicking at the exact same time. So we're 5 points behind with 3 games in hand. One of the 3 games is this coming Wednesday, which I'll get to a wee bit later in the game segment here. We win that, we go into the Old Firm game in a couple of weeks. I know there's some games to play, of course, but let's assume we will both win out between now and then. They might not, by the way, and we might go in with a lead, with an opportunity to extend the lead with a game in hand as well. This is turning incredibly exciting for us, and it's getting a real genuine buzz about the place as well. Remember last week I talked about collective effervescence, and I gave you a little bit of a sociological education, and look what happened. We had a fantastic evening, or afternoon I guess it is, here in North America on Thursday afternoon. And then on Saturday, I'm driving out to the mountains on Saturday, and I'd said to one of the group chats with the boys from down in Orange County and Chicago, I said, let's do this here. Let's Hearts get a result. They deserve a result in Glasgow. Obviously not at Ibrox, but maybe somewhere else in Glasgow. And then as I'm driving to the mountains, I see some of the messages coming in, and that can mean a bunch of different things. It can mean, these guys are really putting them to the sword. I wish Hearts had, laid down to us as they'd laid down to, you never know what you're going to get. So then Leo checks the phone as we're heading out there, and he gives me a big wide-eyed look. He says it's 2-0. And it was still in the first half, and of course that's the way that it ended. And it's just one of those ones where we collectively have this groupthink, this collective euphoria when we're together, because we're experiencing the exact same thing at the exact same time in a good way, and that's what we managed to get to. So getting to the game segment there from last week, and we'll concentrate on our games, of course. We had 2 games this past week, and starting with Thursday's history-making, absolutely fantastic performance and result in Seville in a 3-2 victory against Real Betis. And how utterly brilliant was that, folks? It was just incredible. As a pal had said to me after the game, when I had said, if he asked me before the game what my prediction was, I would have said 3-2 to us, and he says aye, and you'd have been committed for saying that as well. And that's it's true, isn't it? But what a brilliant performance, what a brilliant game actually. The first half especially, 2 teams just going toe to toe with real quality in attack, and the goals were absolutely special, all 4 of them actually, and real end to end stuff. Very, very entertaining. the great thing is we were never behind, and we scored 3 brilliant goals, especially goals 1 and 2 from Sima and Dessers. Yeah, Dessers got an assist and a goal in this one to go with his goal against Dundee. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to produce one against Aberdeen yesterday in the League Cup final, but he's on a bit of a rich vein of form, so there's nothing wrong with that. Keep that going. And of course, Roof won the game for us with a brilliant poacher's finish, and the guy just, what could that guy really genuinely truly do for us if he could just stay fit? He would score a lot of very, very important goals, and then we would probably get a lot of money for him from another club somewhere else. It's just too bad that he can't, his body's just aren't up to the rigour of playing the amount and type and style of games that we need him to play. Betis are obviously a very quality side, there's no doubt about it, but the 2 goals they scored came down to us not tracking our men properly on our right hand side, and that was a bit of a combination of James Tavernier and Ross McCausland at fault for both of them, particularly McCausland. He just went to sleep both times. But the great thing is that we don't even seem to lament that any further, because we won this game, so you can talk about it, you can learn from it, and you can do what you need to do in the background from a coaching perspective, but we don't need to lament it and say what cost us was mistakes, because we won, and it was just a superhuman effort overall by the entire squad, by the entire team. And how utterly mental is it to have lost 5 points, to the worst team in the group, who only got 4 points in their 6 games, all against us, and still win the entire group. It's just wild, man. It really is. So what does that mean for us? It means that we skip the playoff round against the teams dropping down from the Champions League, of course. It means £3 million in prize money automatically. It means we don't play in Europe again until early March. It means more coefficient points for Scotland, and it means we're one of 16 teams in with a chance of winning this competition. And it means that we're once again flying the flag solo for Scotland in Europe. We're the real European deal here, folks. Make no mistake about it. And I'd said to a colleague of mine just before the game on Thursday that I was not content, but I was happy just to have a big week to look forward to. We've got something to play for on Thursday, we've got something to play for on Sunday, which is obviously some silverware, and it was good just to get that there, because then it's like a week full of possibilities. But then I said I didn't really expect to get the result that we got in Spain, if I'm being completely honest. But you never know. We put ourselves in a chance, in a position to be able to do what we did. And I can just imagine, if we were at home to, say, for example, Limassol in the last game, and we just need a point to qualify or 3 points, they kind of Rangers of old it, if you know what I mean. I don't think they took us too lightly. They just couldn't handle us when we got going, and we were so potent in attack and defending really, really well as well, with the 2 goals aside. So positives, the entire performance, and the result was absolutely exceptional. I'm not going to go through player by player. Everyone did exactly what was needed of them, and they did it when it mattered, and we got our just rewards as a direct result of that. I was delighted for Dessers getting another important goal for us, and he took it really, really well. And the last 2 goals he scored for us, seems like he's kind of switched away from the overthinking part of his brain and just started to be more instinctive. Maybe starting to trust himself a wee bit more. Maybe he's getting more trust from his colleagues, from his management team, and he just seems to be doing things naturally now, rather than it's not that he always takes an extra touch. He needs the extra touch to be able to actually get momentum going and things like that. Jack Butland was fantastic as well, and for Roof to score yet another decisive goal in Europe for us, absolutely brilliant to see. Negatives, the only negative, I mentioned the 2 goals that we lost. Those were, 2 brilliant finishes, especially the second one. Wow. And it's hopefully good information and good data for them to look at on the video and show Ross McCausland, like when Tav is committed, you have to follow your man. Like, that's what you have to do. I get that it's a completely different level of football that he's playing, and he's going to have to learn, obviously. But the goals weren't, they were avoidable, I guess is probably the best way to say it. But probably the biggest negative for this was the Rangers Supporters Club of Calgary Vice President Alex Liddell saying that he didn't want us to qualify for the Europa League knockout stages. He said that multiple times during the first half. Because we were there was only 3 of us there, I guess 4. One guy came out at half time. And you're in the panic, you're in the moment, we're losing these goals, bad things are coming our way because that's Rangers and that's what we do. And he was more than delighted at the end, so that maybe doesn't come under as a negative. On the stats, it says we had 52% possession, and 10 shots on goal versus 8 and 5. Maybe that's actually from last. Maybe I didn't update the possession on that. I possibly didn't, because that doesn't sound right, does it? They beat 52%. Anyway, we scored 3 goals and they scored 2. That's the main thing on that. In terms of the referee watch, I don't actually recall the ref having too much influence on the game, and I can't recall him getting overly involved. Or I didn't get annoyed about his performance. So he'll get a standard 7 out of 10. Maybe we did have 52% possession, because I typically always check that. And did we have 5 shots on goal? Did they have 5 shots on goal? Possibly. Yeah, maybe let's go with that. I know that you're not completely relying on me for all your statistical needs anyway. The second game was yesterday's League Cup victory against Aberdeen, where we won the trophy for the first time in over 12 years and for the 28th time in our history as well. And the victory came via a goal. I mean, you couldn't script this, could you? From Captain Fantastic James Tavernier in the 76th minute, when it was becoming quite difficult at that point to see where the goal was actually going to come from, as Aberdeen decided to just sit in and try and nullify us for the entire game. We'd made some adjustments, of course, to make sure that we had counteracted the long ball game that they typically have. And I'm not going to say too much about the actual quality of the game, as we all watched it, we all witnessed it, and we know what we witnessed at the same time. But the main thing is that we won the game. We found a way to win the game, and Tav just did what he does and scored an absolutely fantastic, and by the way, a really difficult goal. A brilliant ball in. I wasn't sure if Dessel's got a touch. It doesn't look maybe like he did, but maybe we'll just be looking at things through blue tinted glasses, and we'll say that he did get a touch for his second assist of the week. I don't think he did. And then Tav gets it, kind of flicks it up, and then he kind of just side bicycle kicks it from probably 4 feet in the air, maybe 5 feet in the air. Brilliant finish, and there's no way the goalie's saving that. That's exactly a picture postcard of what you should be doing when you're shooting from those types of areas. Hard, low, bounce just before the goalie, and it's going to take an absolute worldie for the goalie to actually save it. And I was just talking on Saturday night. We were down at Hammy's for a party on Saturday night, and I was talking to Andy, our former social media guy, my brother-in-law, and I was just saying, we don't appreciate this guy. He gets a lot of stick, and I think that goes with the territory of being a Rangers captain, of course. But in the moment, I don't actually remember in the moment of all the previous captains that we've had, in terms of the Goffs and the Butchers and Lee Wallace, Stephen Kloss, and Lorenzo Amoruso, Barry Ferguson stuff. I don't remember at the time being absolutely delighted with every single one of them and saying this is what it means to be a captain. It's almost like we overdo it when they're there, and then we love them when they're not there. And what I'd said to Andy at the time was I don't think we appreciate the guy enough. And I know Andy's a big James Tavernier fan, of course. But just in general terms, what he's done for us, what he's doing for us, and the way that he's contributing, significantly to everything good that we do. Sometimes the bad stuff as well, but focusing on the positives. I mean, this guy is an absolute phenomenon. And what I also offered up was, who are NARSA going to invite to the conventions 10, 15, 20, 25 years in the future? Who from this current squad, from this past 5 or 10 years, who are the real genuine standouts? There's not a lot of them, by the way. There's not a lot of them that you would get really excited where people would be standing up and chanting their names and giving it big licks when they come in and going to the stage and stuff like that. James Tavernier is number one on that list. I won't be involved in NARSA 10 or 15 years time, I don't think, but that's the kind of magnitude of the guy that we're talking about here. So more to be lauded than lamented, I guess, is probably the main message here. One wee kind of difficult thing that we had, actually I'll talk about that in the negatives. The result was absolutely fantastic. We deserved the trophy. And the positives are, of course, the result, the first trophy of the year, the celebrations from everyone. It seems like Big Phil is getting it each and every game that passes. He's just understanding it more and more and more. To see the celebrations from the management, the leadership team, and of course the players is amazing. And then that's a legacy as well, because now the key people in the current squad, the Goldsons, the Taverniers, and the Lundströms and stuff like that, they've now they've now completed the domestic slam, I guess, if you wanted to kind of call it that. They've won the Scottish Cup, they've won the league, they've won the League Cup now as well. Obviously, we're going to win the Europa League this year as well in Dublin. So then they'll complete the quadruple, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But that's a legacy for these guys. That's a big deal. And the more they get it, the more they see what happened to actually get them to get it. Hopefully, that will cement their place and their understanding of what Philippe wants, and we can move on to even greater successes as we move forward together as well. And the negatives, I still think we show Aberdeen way too much, way too much respect. I think, quite honestly, they're a garbage club. I think they're a garbage. They have a garbage attitude. They've got an absolutely garbage set of fans. Yet we seem to have some sort of Achilles heel when it comes to them, where we allow them to drag us down to their level and their style of play time and time again. Hopefully we learn from this and we just say, like, well, why are we even getting bothered with this? And I think the overall part is we're much better than Aberdeen. We didn't show that at Ibrox earlier in the season, of course. We showed that at Pittodrie, but we just didn't get the result we wanted because we lost another dung goal. And we're in a spot now where Aberdeen know who the greatest team in Scotland are, and that's us, of course. So the last negative we had was we had absolutely horrendous internet feed problems yesterday morning. Of all games, we've got about 30 people down there. We're having a great time. We're all excited. They've got the bar open. They made a big effort to get the bar open, the kitchen open, and all sorts. And then the internet decided it was diarrhea day, and we lost the feed. I can't even remember. In the beginning, it was kind of somewhat amusing when I would go into the media room to get it fixed. We eventually had to end up hardwiring it through another part of the system. And it took away my enjoyment from the game, quite honestly. It's quite stressful. I hate doing that to people when they're down and they're paying their hard-earned money to come down and watch the game, and there's nothing we can do. If a whole bunch of people are on the Wi-Fi and they're texting their pals, myself included, and we're drawing from the same feed, there's only so much bandwidth to go around, and I think we saw the outputs of that as well. So very disappointing. I apologise to everyone that was there, but it did take away my enjoyment. And then when you put the game back on and it's the same kind of tense nothingness game as well, that just kind of compounds it as well. So apologies again for everybody that came along that had that experience as well. Interestingly, we put the Man United and Liverpool game on after that, and it was almost like we had continued the Aberdeen and Rangers game. There's one team that doesn't want to get beat, there's the other team that's trying desperately to do everything to get a goal, and it just didn't kind of work out like that. That wasn't a very entertaining game either, was it? Anyway, stats: we had 63% possession, we had 14 shots on goal with 6 on target. They had 4 shots on goal with 0 on target. That's genuinely the absolute story of the game. It absolutely is. We were much better than them all over the field, and just with the field, with the conditions, maybe with our tiredness and a little bit of lethargy, and just with the overall tactics and general garbageness. It was just the one goal. It should have been more. On the ref watch, you know what, Don Robertson did okay. I have no real complaints about them, but I think I might be conditioned to say that, because what happens is an Aberdeen player will be able to foul a Rangers player between 4 and 6 times before he gets a final warning, before he gets a yellow card. So that spans the whole game. Who knows what sort of injuries have been caused as a result of that. And Shinnie, their captain, he's getting away with it. The guy's within his rights to do that if he's getting away with it the whole time. And Robertson, I don't know why somebody just doesn't go up and say that's 1 ref. Maybe they are, we don't see everything, of course. That's 2 ref, that's 3 ref, that's 4 ref. And the ref will get upset with you. That happens to me if ever I do that when I'm playing. But you've planted the seed to say this guy's going to hurt someone here, and he almost took Cantwell's head off. We were just actually coming back from another internet break at that point, so we didn't really get a chance to experience it in the moment. But he's going to get someone injured, because if letting people away with that sort of thing, it's okay to kick Rangers players. And then of course John Lundstrom gets booked for a bit of dissent or something like that, and we've got bruised necks, bruised ankles, bruised bums, whatever it was he was kicking. So other than that, he did okay. That's kind of reverting to type. Like, it's Aberdeen are a physical side. I don't mind playing a physical side, but when they're cheating, when they're fouling us the whole time, stamp it out. That's why you've got yellow cards, that's why you've got red cards, that's why you can be very obvious about the opportunity to say one more and you're in the books, and there's no surprise, the fans know what's happening and stuff like that. He didn't do that well enough. But that said, overall I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10, because he never overly negatively influenced the game, other than just not actually doing his job on those occasions, in my opinion. So that's it, folks. Two brilliant games, two brilliant results, two historical results for us, and it is absolutely magnificent being a Rangers fan this week, isn't it? And it's going to continue into this week. So two games this week, of course, and both are in the league. We're back to league business until the introduction of the Scottish Cup in January there. First one is this Wednesday. That's December the 20th. We're at home to St Johnstone, and that's a 2:45pm Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's 7:45 UK. And I was going to say 12:45, that's 12:45 for me here in Calgary. And our last game against them, and this is coming up to kind of finalising the second round of games here, was a 2-0 victory back in mid-September. It was, with goals from Danilo and Rabbi Matondo, which actually was the first game after that came on the back of the Old Firm defeat, and it really was the kind of more visible start of the rot for Michael Beale, which eventually was his undoing, which was eventually him being sacked after, I think it was 6 league games, wasn't it? And we'll get to him in a wee bit here. The second game is on Sunday, the 24th of December. How odd and bizarre is it to have a game on Christmas Eve? Put it to Boxing Day. I know we've got another game next week, but like Christmas Eve, it's not fair for people with families and things. The one and only saving grace is a noon UK time, 7am Eastern Standard Time kickoff, so at least you can get it out of the way and then hopefully have the rest of the day to do whatever it is you need to do, last minute shopping, family stuff or whatever. But anyway, away to Motherwell, always a difficult place to go, and that's just what happens. But the last time we played them was a tense 1-0 victory over them in late September, with a goal coming from my main man, Cyril Dessers, as well. So when we look back on the season, you might see that this guy contributed a wee bit more than it feels like he does when he's taking his extra touches, but it doesn't really look like he knows what he's doing for the most part. I'm a fan. I hope he does well. He's a very good talker, and when you see him talking, he just looks like a nice guy. I mean, how can you shout at that guy with those lovely wee eyes and that nice wee voice of his as well? Come on, folks. So 2 big games. We win those 2 games. We go into next week. Then we're at home to Ross County. Then we're away at Sharkhead. And it could be just carnage over there by that point, the way things are going for right now. So just look after ourselves. That's what Philippe said. And go in there with the 6 points and then see what that brings us as well. For RTV, nothing that I know of apart from our absolute mess that we endured at Pinbar, but that was nothing to do with RTV. It was our internet feed. We'll have to get that organised and sorted for the Old Firm game coming up, which will be the next game that we show. On the shout-outs, I didn't mean to do this one last week. I did want to pass on sincere condolences on the passing of Dougie McMahon Sr. He passed away on December the 6th, and I meant to do this last week, and I just, in my kind of hurriedness after coming back from Mexico, I ended up slipping through the net, so my apologies about that. But Dougie Sr. was a past president of Toronto Number 1 branch, as is his son, Dougie Jr., as well. So to Dougie Senior's wife Pat and his other children, Irene and Carrie, and the remainder of the family, friends, and all of his Toronto Number 1 brothers and sisters, sincere condolences from both myself and everyone at NARSA. I did get a chance to reach out to Dougie Jr. When I was on holiday, just to pass on my personal condolences, and he was appreciative of that as well. So sincere condolences to everyone of our friends and family over in Toronto Number 1. On the same sort of vein, I want to do a shout out to my family. This is a personal shout out. Today is the 6-year anniversary of the passing of my mum, Ellen, who passed away very suddenly, actually, back on the 18th of December 2017. And 6 years has passed since then, and I literally cannot believe where the time has gone. I vividly remember it. I vividly remember the last time I talked to her. I vividly remember all of her interactions. She wasn't keeping well in the latter years of her life. She had dementia and severe diabetes and things like that, but she was always just my mum when I phoned, and she was such a shining light for the entire family, and what a character as well. So I love you, Mum. I miss you every single day. And to all of my family and extended friends who knew Ellen, just a wee shout out and a wee tip of the cap to you folks. And I'm thinking about you all today. I'll have a wee vodka. She was always a vodka and iron brew. Actually, I do have iron brew in the fridge as well. I'm going to do just that tonight. I'm going to have a vodka and iron brew to toast my mum tonight. That was her favourite tipple as well. Just a wee reminder that there is an Alan Through show going ahead on Saturday, the 17th of February, and that's out in Toronto. Look in Alan's socials and you'll get information from that. On a convention update, we do have some meetings planned this week with both the Omni Resort and the Gaylord Palms, and they've been moving around a lot. It's like trying to herd cats, it really is, or trying to put an octopus in an onion bag sort of thing, trying to get everybody aligned to getting just this half-hour chat to say, this is what your proposal said, what movement do we have, what are the non-negotiables, and things like that. So as it stands right now, what time is it? It's 12:15 p.m. As it stands right now, we're meeting with the Omni Resort tomorrow at 10 a.m. my time, and we're meeting with the Gaylord or Palms on Thursday, and I believe that's at, I think that's 11 a.m. Eastern, so I think that's 9 a.m. my time as well. So I should have more to share for you next week. Just another reminder for ORSA and the Sunshine Coast Rangers Supporters Club in Queensland, Australia. They're having their ORSA convention February 29th to March the 3rd, and Billy Brownlee and his team there have information there on their raffles, their auction, their bonus ball stuff and all that sort of thing as well. I'll keep the link on there until the actual event as well. It's always great to support our brothers and sisters over in ORSA as well, and good luck in the continued planning that they have. From another business perspective, this past week we did have a meeting with the communications team, the communications subcommittee for NARSA last week, where we got a chance to get around the table to talk about our social media strategy, our website strategy. We discussed are going to put something into place for early next year in a monthly newsletter, it's a NARSA newsletter. NARSA is what I would say if I had a lisp, which I don't. So a NARSA newsletter. And then we also talked about maybe making something a wee bit different in terms of our video presence as well. We talked about basically kind of resurrecting our existing TikTok account, but I don't think we can find the details for that, so we're just creating a new TikTok account and maybe doing the podcasts on video as well. So that's a wee bit more logistics for me to manage, and it's a wee bit less a wee bit more time for me to do that, and a wee bit less flexible is actually what I was going to say there. I could basically record this from anywhere. I do it mostly in Leo's room because the acoustics are great here, but as I get busier and my business starts to grow, I might have to do it from the car, I might have to do it elsewhere. Doing that on video could be a little bit more logistically challenging, but certainly up to try it. And what we're going to do, I was going to try and do this for the first time yesterday after the game, was to do like a 1 minute to 90-second video. Hey, Gary here, the game's just finished. I'm going to cover this in more detail in tomorrow's pod. Really looking forward to seeing you there. All the very best. Follow, something like that. At the end of the game yesterday, I was just so excited that we won, and I was having a few beers and just enjoying it with my family and my friends and stuff like that, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But I'll try and do that after the St Johnstone game this week, and certainly after the Motherwell game as well, just to kind of almost like an advert, if you like, for the pending podcast, which would come out on the Monday. I don't know when I'm going to start recording it. I don't think I'll do it next week, because next week is of course Christmas Day, and I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to get that out to you as well. We also talked from a communications perspective about a linkage with the club, how to get a greater linkage with the club, how to maybe access some of the club's communication assets and things like that as well. So I've reached out to Emma Cooper on the social media side, still waiting on a reply, and she's pretty slow in replying. And I'll also reach out to Nick Thompson as well, and just get a bit of dialogue between myself and Nick and Connor, Connor from our communications team, Connor Gunn, of course, and see where we could take that as well. We just want to help the club, we just want to promote the club, and we just need a wee bit of help to be able to do that as well. Loved the conversation. It went about 15-20 minutes over the allotted hour, and it was just great to actually catch up and get some plans and strategies and brainstorming and ideas in place as well. So thanks very much to Brian, Lorraine, Chris, Connor, and I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, for showing up and doing what we needed to do. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. On the communications section, not a lot this week. So the Gers guide, I'll go through this fairly quickly today. They've got on RTV, they've got on the away days for the cup final from yesterday. Definitely well worth a watch. Tomorrow we have the press conference for the St Johnstone game on Wednesday, and then there's 2 features on training ground stuff. I think that's on RTV, and then there's an open training for the women's team as well on Wednesday, of course, is the St Johnstone game. Nothing significant for Thursday. On Friday is a press conference for the Motherwell game. Nothing significant on Saturday. And then, of course, it's the Motherwell game at noon UK time on Sunday. So, yeah, that's basically it. Also, actually, I should maybe just do this one last thing. I just wanted to congratulate and thank Sunderland for appointing Michael Beale to their manager job, or head coach as they call it. Maybe it's structured slightly differently down there, but I think that was about 11 weeks or so that he was out of a job, and he's been given a job, and maybe head coach is something that would be a wee bit more akin to his skill set, because it's certainly not managing a club as big and as prestigious as Rangers are. So, and as I mentioned earlier, as I was reading through an article earlier, it did say that he managed just 6 league games in this campaign, and I was fairly frustrated and maybe a wee bit critical of the club for taking so long to get rid of him and make a change and do something more positive for the club. But when you think about the previous manager and the boat and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, of course, and Michael Beale, combined lasting less than a year, significantly less than a year each, that's actually testimony. You need them time to come in, you need time to get them to bed in, you need to then start to look at the results, you need to then start talking about how the results are going to change, you need to then give that a chance to bed in, and then you need to make a decision. And I think with the benefit of hindsight, the club have probably acted as swiftly as they possibly could. In hindsight, we were like, after the Celtic game, he should have gone. No, he needed a wee bit more time for that. The way the season's worked out, it's actually working out in incredibly well for us, of course, with Philippe and the steadiness that he's brought to this, and of course the results that have come from that steadiness as well. But anyway, congratulations to Michael Beale, and good riddance, quite honestly. But I hope you always want to see ex-Rangers do well when they leave, and he's no different. I enjoyed his press conferences. It just came to be that managing Rangers wasn't the right thing for him at that particular point in his career and in our history as well. Okay, that will do it for this week, my friends. As always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen, and please do pass it on to whomever you think might enjoy it. And until next week, the games, of course, are coming thick and fast prior to the winter break that's coming here in a couple of weeks. So let's continue to prove that we are the winners that we statistically are. Get another solid 6 points before Santa comes, and then, I don't know about you, I could do with another week like last week. 2 significant victories, some results go our way elsewhere, and then we'll see what happens. But some good things are coming our way, and certainly the signs are all very good anyway. In terms of next week, I will try and record the pod on Christmas Day, but I might end up doing it on Christmas Eve. I don't know, it might come a wee bit early. Either way, we'll publish it on in and around that time. I don't think you're going to be desperately sitting around the kitchen table, the dining table, the Christmas table, I guess you should say, saying, I don't feel like I'm having a great time until we hear the NARSA podcast. But I want to try and stick true to our routine and stuff like that, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, until then, my friends, thank you very much again. Take care and all the very best, and here's hoping to another 6 points this week. Cheerio now.